Jackson Hale had everything: money, power, and secrets. But when a masked figure exposed his darkest crimes to the world, his final moments became the most brutal live broadcast of 2025. On the morning of February 19, 2025, something strange appeared on screens all over the world. A livestream titled "Countdown to Truth 4800" quietly went live on a major video platform. No one knew who started it or where it came from. At first, only a few curious users noticed the strange title and clicked. What they saw was nothing more than a black screen and a timer ticking down from 48 hours. No sound, no movement, just a digital clock slowly counting to zero. But by the end of the first hour, the stream had already gained thousands of viewers. It quickly became a topic of conversation on social media, where people started sharing screenshots and speculating about what it could mean. Was it a marketing campaign? A hoax? A game? Everyone had a theory, but no one had an answer. As the hours passed, more people tuned in. Streamers began broadcasting their reactions. News outlets picked up the story and called it a global mystery. Viewers watched closely for any changes, staring at the motionless black screen as the timer continued its slow march. By the 24-hour mark, the stream had crossed 10 million viewers. That number would double before long. People across different time zones were setting alarms to check the stream. Livestream analysis channels popped up overnight, dissecting every second of footage. Forums filled with users debating the meaning of the countdown. Some claimed to see hidden images flash on the screen. Others said they heard faint noises if they turned the volume up loud enough. Theories ranged from government secrets to cult activity to alien contact. Then, at exactly 12 hours remaining, the screen suddenly changed. Without warning, a dimly lit room came into view. It was small and undecorated, with concrete walls and a single hanging light. In the center of the frame was a man slumped in a metal chair, unconscious. His hands were tied behind his back. His face was swollen and bruised. Shadows moved in the background. A figure stepped into view, tall, dressed in black, face hidden by a white, expressionless mask. The timer kept ticking. The mood of the stream shifted instantly. It was no longer a mystery, it was a threat. Viewers watched in stunned silence. Some began to panic. Authorities were contacted, but even cybercrime experts couldn't trace the livestream's origin. It was protected by a complex network of encryption and relay servers. Attempts to shut it down failed. Every time it was reported or blocked, it reappeared somewhere else. The masked figure didn't speak, didn't move much, just watched. The man in the chair remained unconscious, unaware of the millions of eyes on him. Governments issued warnings. Tech platforms tried to intervene, but nothing worked. The stream had become unstoppable, and with each second that passed, more people joined. By now, over 30 million people were watching. What began as a curiosity had turned into something terrifying. No one knew what would happen when the countdown reached zero, but everyone knew they would be there to see it. As the countdown crept past the 6-hour mark, the man in the chair finally began to stir. His head twitched, and his eyes fluttered open, dazed and confused. Slowly, he began to register his surroundings: the cold concrete floor, the restraints cutting into his wrists, the harsh light above. Panic set in. He pulled against the ropes, struggling to free himself, but it was no use. Then the masked figure stepped forward again, calm and controlled. Without a word, the figure held up a card and pointed it directly at the camera. It read, "Jackson Hale, corruption lies here." The internet erupted instantly. Viewers all The world rushed to search the name. Within minutes, the man's entire identity was uncovered. Jackson Hale, 43-year-old hedge fund manager based in New York. Until now, he had remained mostly unknown to the public. He didn't have a strong online presence, didn't appear in headlines, and rarely showed up in interviews. To most people, he was just another face in the corporate world. But within hours, a different image of him began to emerge. Internet sleuths and amateur detectives dove into financial records, old lawsuits, and leaked emails. What they found painted a disturbing picture. Jackson Hale was at the center of a shadowy web of financial crimes. He had been accused of insider trading, manipulating small companies into bankruptcy, and hiding profits in offshore accounts. Most of the lawsuits against him had been quietly settled out of court. It became clear that he had used his wealth and power to stay out of the spotlight and out of jail. Then the livestream took another turn. A new video feed appeared on the screen, showing stacks of documents and USB drives spread out on a metal table. One by one, files began opening automatically. They revealed names, dates, account numbers, secret payments, and private conversations. It was a massive leak of evidence, apparently proving Jackson's involvement in a global financial conspiracy. Viewers watched as hundreds of pages flipped past in real time. Some showed signed contracts and internal memos. Others included emails between Jackson and other high-ranking individuals across different countries. The files named CEOs, politicians, and even law enforcement officers. Suddenly, this wasn't just about one man. The masked figure wasn't targeting Jackson randomly, it was a deliberate and calculated exposure. The audience began to realize that this was not just a punishment, but a public trial, a kind of justice carried out through spectacle. No judge, no jury, just a live stream and a silent executioner. News stations began confirming the document's authenticity. Former employees and whistleblowers came forward, recognizing signatures and recalling suppressed scandals. Authorities tried once more to shut the stream down, but again, they failed. It had spread too far, mirrored on countless servers, watched by too many eyes. No one could stop it now. People were no longer asking what was happening, they were asking why. What had Jackson done to deserve this? And if he was the first, who would be next? The countdown continued, each second driving the tension higher. The world was watching, unable to look away. As the countdown neared the final hour, the world held its breath. What had started as a strange broadcast was now the most watched livestream in history. Over 70 million people were watching across every platform imaginable. Governments had issued public warnings. Tech companies pleaded for people to stop sharing the link, but it was no use. The broadcast had become unstoppable. It had burrowed itself deep into every corner of the internet, immune to takedowns or censorship. The masked figure, calm and methodical, continued the strange performance with eerie silence. When the timer hit exactly 1 hour, the stream abruptly cut to black. For a full minute, nothing happened. People feared it was over. Then, just as quickly, the feed resumed. Now from a closer angle. Jackson Hale was fully awake now, his eyes wide and filled with terror. Sweat covered his face. The masked figure stood behind him, holding a small case, and opened it slowly. Inside was a strange device, thin cables, clamps, a monitor screen. The figure attached it to Jackson's chest, and numbers began to flash across the screen. It was a heart monitor, measuring every beat of his fear. Then the screen split in two. On one side, viewers saw Jackson's rising heartbeat in real time. On the other side, the livestream began revealing a new layer of evidence: hidden camera footage, audio recordings, and surveillance material from years past. The material was damning. Jackson had been caught discussing illegal takeovers, manipulating public statements, and bribing regulators. The files stretched far beyond finance into political deals, the silencing of whistleblowers, and the exploitation of vulnerable communities. It wasn't just corruption, it was systemic abuse masked by money and influence. The footage was detailed and clear. Viewers heard Jackson's voice, confident and smug, as he talked about burying investigations, threatening reporters, and buying silence. Social media platforms were flooded with clips. News stations cut into live broadcasts. Some officials, named in the documents, began resigning in real time. Stock markets dipped. Governments scrambled to manage the fallout, and protesters flooded city streets across multiple continents. But through it all, the countdown continued. Each second made the silence in the live stream heavier. The masked figure stood still, watching the clock, occasionally glancing at the heartbeat monitor. Jackson's heartbeat surged higher and higher. Some viewers begged for intervention. Others demanded that justice be carried through. What had once been a shocking mystery was now a global event, exposing everything from corporate crime to political rot. With 10 minutes left, the masked figure moved again. They brought forward another object, an old-fashioned mechanical switch, mounted on a wooden base, with wires connected to the device on Jackson's chest. The implication was clear. The audience now faced a grim reality. This stream was not only about truth, it was about punishment. Jackson Hale, once untouchable, was being judged in front of the world. There would be no legal trial, no appeals. Only the clock, the evidence, and a silent executioner. The final moments were approaching, and no one knew if justice was being served or something far darker. When the final minute began, the digital countdown loomed large on the screen. The heart monitor next to Jackson Hale's chest blinked rapidly, his pulse racing out of control. Millions of viewers could see every sharp beat, each tremor in his body. The masked figure stood still, one hand resting on the large mechanical switch, the other holding up a new sign. It read only one word: verdict, guilty. The chat feeds on mirror streams flooded with reactions, some stunned, others supportive, and many horrified. No one could look away. The countdown was now at 30 seconds. Jackson, bound and silent, was visibly shaking. His eyes darted around wildly. He wasn't gagged, but no sound came from his mouth. Fear had taken over entirely. The room remained silent, no voices, no music, no narration. Only the sound of the countdown, now paired with the shrill beeping of the heart monitor. Then, at exactly 0 hours 0 minute and 1 second, the screen froze. For just a single second, everything paused. The masked figure pulled the switch. What happened next was violent and immediate. Jackson's body jolted in the chair as high-voltage current surged through the wires. His chest lifted off the backrest. Muscles contracted involuntarily. His mouth opened in a silent scream. The heart monitor spiked, then flatlined. A long beep echoed through the speakers as the flat line stretched across the screen. The camera did not look away. The livestream held the frame steady for over a minute, capturing the aftermath in its full, brutal detail. There was no cut, no censorship, just the consequences of whatever justice had been decided behind the mask. Then, without any warning, the stream shifted once more. A simple white text appeared on a black background. It read, "You watched. You let it happen. Who's next?" The message remained on screen for exactly 30 seconds. During that time, people took screenshots, reposted clips, and debated what they had witnessed. Some called it digital justice. Others called it murder. But regardless of opinion, one fact was undeniable: the entire world had watched a man be executed live on air, and no one had been able to stop it. The stream went completely dark. All mirror links vanished within seconds. Attempts to reload the page failed. Even the site that hosted the original stream went offline. It was as if the broadcast had never existed, but the memory remained, burned into the minds of every viewer. People couldn't forget what they had seen: the raw evidence, the cold silence, the switch, the death. The most brutal crime of 2025 had been carried out in full view of the public, not hidden in shadows, but lit for all to see. 2 days later, authorities discovered Jackson Hale's body in an abandoned underground facility outside Warsaw. The room matched the one shown in the video. The equipment was real, but all digital traces had been wiped clean. No fingerprints, no camera hardware, no source files. The broadcast had vanished without a trace, leaving only a corpse, a destroyed room, and a chilling new chapter in internet history. The aftermath of the livestream sent shockwaves across every corner of society. The event was unlike anything that had ever occurred before: a real-time execution carried out with precision, streamed globally, and fueled by undeniable evidence of corruption. The questions began immediately. Who was the masked figure? How did they get the files? Was Jackson Hale the only target, or just the first? But no one had answers. Law enforcement agencies in dozens of countries opened investigations. Cybersecurity experts were pulled into emergency meetings. Even the United Nations held a special session, calling it a new kind of digital terrorism. Yet, for all their power and resources, no one could trace the origin of the livestream or identify the person behind the mask. Public opinion was divided. Some people viewed the event as a disturbing act of vigilantism, a complete breakdown of justice and order. Others saw it as necessary, a form of justice that finally held the powerful accountable in a world where courts had failed. Protests and rallies erupted in cities around the globe. Some marched in fear, demanding internet reform and protections against cyber vigilantes. Others rallied in support, holding up signs that read "Truth Streamed Live" and "We Want Justice, Not Silence." The debate spread like wildfire. Was it justice, murder, or a warning? In the digital world, things changed fast. Tech companies faced massive scrutiny. Video platforms overhauled their security protocols. Some introduced delay systems on live streams. Others tried to prevent mirror links from spreading, but it was too late. Copies of the stream had already been archived, broken into clips, edited into documentaries, and studied in every major university. Experts declared it a defining moment in digital history, a point where the internet became more than a tool. It had become a courtroom, a weapon, and a stage all at once. Then, just as the world began to settle, another message appeared online. It wasn't a video, but a single web page with only text. It read, "Countdown to Truth 72. And a new clock began ticking." Panic set in once more. The page vanished after just 10 minutes. But that was enough. Screenshots went viral. Rumors took over. Who would be the next target? People in positions of power began vanishing from public view. Corporate leaders deleted their social media profiles. Some stepped down without explanation. Everyone feared exposure. Governments quietly launched covert operations to find the source before the next deadline, but all efforts failed. The original files had been too well hidden. the digital trail too clean. The masked figure had left no trace, no clue to their identity, their motives, or even their voice. All that remained was fear and speculation. Security firms began offering Livestream threat assessments. Politicians scrambled to distance themselves from past scandals. The lines between fear, justice, and paranoia blurred. And yet, life continued. The clock kept ticking. The brutal livestream hadn't just exposed one man, it had changed everything. A single crime, broadcast live to the world, had made billions question who truly held power and what justice really looked like. In the digital age,